What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Pi Data Sri Lanka YouTube channel. And what we will be exploring through this video is going to be the library called yfinance, which allows us to retrieve financial data or stock related data for our data science projects or for our finance projects. So let's get into it. So the first thing to do is to install the yfinance library, and for that purpose, you can do pip install yfinance. Um, And if it's already there, I mean, since I already have it, it says that it's satisfied. If you want to check the version of it, what I would suggest you to do is do pip show yfinance. Okay, this is an easy trick to find out whether you have it installed, and if it is there, it will state the version of it and where it is located. So if you already has this, then you are good to go. Right. So once you have it installed, next what you need to do is you need to import yfinance into your particular project. So how you do that is basically you type import yfinance as yf. You can add an alias or you can completely avoid and just import yfinance as it is. Next, let's say that I want to import data related to Google stocks for a specific time period. Let's say the time period is going to be from 2020 January 1st to 2023 March 14th. So for this purpose, yfinance has a function called download, which will intake several parameters. But what you need to kind of pass to get a specific daily data for a specific time period is first the ticker. Then you need to specify the start date and the end date. So what is this sticker? So the sticker is basically an identification code that is being used in stock markets to identify a specific stock. So instead of having Google, it sometimes is referred to, there is a specific ticker that it refers to called Google. So this is usually assigned by stock markets to make it easy to identify companies as well as to distinguish between companies. So there might be two companies that might be called as Apple. One is a technological company, whereas the other is a food and beverage company. So in order to uniquely identify them, they have introduced these stickers, which are basically unique identification codes. So if you're wondering how do I find this specific sticker, the best way to do that is to head out to yfinance, and here what we are doing, what we are seeing is the Apple. What you can do is you can say, let's say that you want to find Google's ticker. You type Google here, and then it will pop up the entire information corresponding to Google. And within, no, at the very top, you will see the ticker name right here. So similarly, let's say that you want to find it for Nvidia, you will see this is a specific ticker. So that's the easy way to find out what the ticker is. And once you get that ticker, next thing is you will pass it. And once you run this, once you run yfinance download, what it will do is it will retrieve data and then store it into a pandas data frame. So whatever the manipulations that you do to a pandas data frame can be done to this particular data that is being retrieved, in this case for Google. Okay, so that's how you import or bring in historical data for a specific ticker. Now, let's say that you want to grab certain information corresponding to a specific stock. For that purpose, what you need to do initially is you need to create an object called a ticker. And for yfinance, you have yf.ticker. And then you will pass on the ticker name. And then what you do is once you pass this on, you can use the .info, which is part of the object, to kind of retrieve all the financial related data, information corresponding to that particular company. So here you can see that there is the address, then you also have the sector and all sort of things. So let's say that you want to find out the dividends and the stock splits that has happened within a specific time period. So let's say that I want to do this for Google. What you do is you will initially create a ticker object, and then you can type, this is the object that has been created using the yf.ticker, where you have passed the ticker name. And this particular object will have dividends, splits, and all these sort of information. So if we run this, you will get all the information corresponding to dividends and stock splits that has happened. So there's an easy way to kind of identify when a dividend was paid out, as well as when a stock split has happened. Next is, let's say that I want to retrieve very recent data, um, very recent daily data. Instead of just specifying a time period, what you can do is you can use this period attribute that can be passed to the download function, and you can then specify as a string the period from today up to 5 days back or 6 days back, the period that you want to kind of retrieve data for. So here what we have passed is the time period as 5D, which actually represents 5 days. So from today, go back 5 days and get us that particular data. So if you run this, you'll see that up to 5 days from today, the data has been retrieved. Okay. Next, let's say now, we talked about single stocks, right? We have imported Google stocks, single stocks. But let's say that I want to import more than one stock. So it's kind of hectic to individually import this. So what you do is you can specify those stickers in a list, and then you can pass it as the first parameter for the download function. You specify the time period, and this will retrieve the daily data. Okay, so let's actually change this to 2024. Let's change this to 3, and let's do this 14. So this will get us the daily data for all three tickers. But as you can see, the data frame is quite messy. You have two indexes, to be honest, which is a little tough to deal with. So another workaround, or a much more easier way to handle this sort of multiple tickers, is to use a loop. And what you do is, initially you import pandas as PD, then you specify the list of tickers that you want to import. Okay, then you're going to also create another empty list called data list, and I'll explain why we use this. There are other ways. So this is a very simple code to kind of illustrate another way to kind of get all data into a single data frame. And then you loop through this particular list while downloading each of these data. And once you download it, you will to this particular data frame, you will add a column called company, and then you will assign the ticker so that we would be able to identify it. And then once that data frame is set, you append it to this particular empty list. So this empty list will ultimately consist of the data in a pandas data frame format within this as a list. Then you can use the pd.concat, which is a pandas function that allows us to kind of combine all of these or stack all of these retrieved data into a single data frame. So when you run this, you will see it has downloaded all three. And what it has done nicely is that it has also assigned the company name so that it is easy for us to understand. And then identify, and then also it has actually stacked all the data one over the other like this. So this is a little easier to deal with in comparison to this, because you have two indexes here, which is quite difficult. But here is in a single data frame. You just have one index, which is the date, and then you can split it out and do separate analysis based on the company, the value that is assigned in the company column. Okay, so that's how you retrieve multiple data, and also how you retrieve recent data and financial information corresponding to a specific ticker. So the final one is how to import stock data that is corresponding to a specific interval. So for these above data frames, as you can see, we have consecutive dates because we are importing in this case daily data. But if we want to import weekly data, for that purpose, Yfinance, you have a method in yfinance to import weekly data or monthly data, and that is by using the download function. You pass in the ticker, the start and the end date, and then you pass in an additional parameter called interval, and as a string you specify the interval that you want to kind of bring data in. So in this case we are going to be importing based on weekly data. That is, so for that purpose we are going to be saying 1 week. So if you import this, you can see that the dates are indeed weekly dates between these two dates. Okay, so if you want, let's say 3 months interval data, if you want to import 3 months data with 3 months intervals, then you can use 3MO, which will give you those 3 months related data. Okay, cool. So the final part is once you get this data, you'll have to do a little bit of analysis, right? So analysis part is quite important, and the best way to kick it off is by initially visualizing it. So what you can do is, as I mentioned earlier, since the data that is going to be coming through the Yfinance API is going to be in a pandas data frame, you can do all the manipulations that you want. So you first import matplotlib pyplot as PAT, which is one of the libraries that it can be used for visualization. And let's say that I want to kind of visualize NVIDIA stocks. So I download the data, I specify it for time period, then for the closing price, I'm going to say dot plot, which is going to plot the data. And I'm going to add a title, and then I'm going to say PRT show, and that will download it and then show that particular stock. So NVIDIA stocks, as you can see, is the closing prices of NVIDIA stocks is being displayed as follows. Okay, so that's all. Um, that's a little bit of an introduction to yfinance module which exists in Python, which is an easy way to kind of import stock related data corresponding to different stocks, which ultimately can be used for your data science projects or for your finance related projects. So um, next, let's explore another library that is going to be useful when it comes to finance using Python.